We are in Pendleton, Oregon tonight, and we're going to walk around and look and see what's here. But something I saw I thought was pretty cool. Look at this. This is the Pendleton Roundup. This big, huge complex. I want to show you what it is in a minute. This arena is for the Pendleton Roundup. It is fixing to start this weekend, and it's going to go on for several days. It's a huge rodeo. I wish I'd be here for it. This huge bronze rodeo rider and horse. Let her buck. This is 23 plus Pendleton, Oregon. Handmade belts, hat bar, and leather classes. We're still going around this big, huge arena. Over there is the Pendleton Roundup Happy Canyon Hall of Fame. There's Happy Canyon. Let her buck. Well, that's a cool one there. That's the steakhouse. Oh, this is pretty cool. How's this for a steakhouse and saloon? This is next to the interstate in Pendleton, Oregon. There's a lot of artwork here in this town. This particular one is called the Cattle Drive. That bull wants to challenge that dog. Because this is a cowboy town, I think this is where you tie your horse up when you go into the Old West Federal Credit Union.
Sidewalks look like.
Yeah, the sidewalks look like wood, but they're cement. Cowgirl outfit.
1998 Pendleton Roundup.
Pendleton Roundup 1998 boots. There's a little saddle. Here's some art. This is Madam Stella Darby of the Cozy Rooms. Do you know what Madam was? Yes. Here is another across the street. Who is this lady? Aura Goodwin Rayleigh. She was known as the mother of Pendleton, 1829 to 1913. Just to make a long story short, Aura was born in Maine. At some time in her life, her and her husband took a wagon train to Oregon. They wound up settling in Washington, and then they wound up coming to Pendleton and started a stage coach stop at a motel here in Pendleton. She was known as the mother of Pendleton.
30s or
Back
40s.
in probably 30s or 40s maybe. This is the Ravoli Theater. Started out in 1897 and 1900 to house 4 storefronts. I believe it's being renovated now. This building here was built in 1897 by early day brothel owner Christopher Columbus Hendricks. Let's see what this is. This is a statue of George Fletcher. Born in 1890. Was the first black American to compete in the very first Pendleton Roundup in 1910. He died in 1974. George Fletcher arrived in Pendleton around 1900 at the age of 10 and with his mother and stepfather. His home life was unstable and hardships faced by African Americans at the time were difficult to surmount. George was taken under the wing of a local minister, Reverend Collinson, at the Tutela Presbyterian Church on the Ultima Indian Reservation in East Pendleton. Friends of the tribe helped him learn how to manage, train, and work with horses. He was the only American to compete in the first Pendleton Roundup in 1910. George Fletcher was a competitor in the World Bronc Riding Championship in 1911 Roundup competition. Although John Spain was declared the winner, many of the fans believed Fletcher should have won first place. The first place of $350, the first prize of a $350 saddle went to John Spain. Sheriff Till Taylor, a Roundup director at the time, took Fletcher's black cowboy hat and cut it into small bits and sold them to the crowd. He raised enough money for Fletcher to buy a $350 saddle, like the first place prize, with an additional $350 to spare. George Fletcher was declared the people's champion. Fletcher competed in rodeos until the outbreak of World War I, when he was drafted into service. He was sent to France as part of the SOS unit of the 815 Pioneer Infantry. Following an injury in the war, he walked with a limp and retired from rodeo competition. This directory downtown talks about all the stuff that is here, the art galleries, restaurants, motels, hotels. It's pretty cool. Stapleman Custom Boot Shop. You can go in there and get boots made just for you. Yeah, this is something you do not see in South Carolina. So you come in and you pick out the type of hide that you want. And this guy can make you some boots. Look at all this little specialty stuff. I guess that's ostrich maybe. And he's back there handcrafting some boots. Your name?
Richard, Skateboard.
Okay, and so this is your boot shop. So Richard, you've been in the boot business since 99. And where did you learn to trade?
Rodeoing, and instead of going to bars, I'd go find a boot shop or a saddle shop, hang out, and that kind of sparked the interest. And,
yeah.
Led me to books where I could get really in-depth study. I married young, had children, and I had another business, so I couldn't really go study under a bootmaker. So I just had to kind of go along as time allowed.
Mm-hmm. So what would be the first step for someone that wanted
Well,
boots?
they'd come in, I'd measure their feet. What our shop's all about is about the correct fit.
Yeah.
And then the customer then would design his own shoes. We make everything from dress shoes, casual shoes, work boots, cowboy boots. Yeah.
Wow. So they would pick their own hide out?
Yep, they would dictate every stitch they so choose. Yeah, colors, textures. Our side of the design is where's the boot going to go? What do you want it to do? And then we lean them toward the proper leathers. 5 hours. Yeah, it would depend on the level of detail they want in it. Yeah, our base price boot, which is like this little black pair, That's a 40 hours boot.
And how much would something like that?
$1,500. That's
Okay.
the base price.
So a real elaborate.
Yeah, and that boot's not that elaborate, but I'll have another 5-6 hours in that boot. Same thing, the one I just lasted this morning, I'll have 5 or 6 more hours in that than I will this one here.
And then, so what would be the price of it?
No, you really should.
Yeah.
It's the whole point of the existence. World famous Hamley Saddlery, for their saddles and tack and belts and whatnot. You know, we have hat makers, boot makers, of course. So, due to the nature of our nation's economy, I'm developing a repair side to the shop, because in my estimation, we haven't hit the bottom of our inflationary state, but I think we will, and I think my sales may cease. But at that point, people are going to say, well, I need to fix what I have. So we're
So
just
when that
now,
is resoling, healing, I mean, what is the repair
well,
part?
I'm not a repairman, so when I repair a boot, hopefully when they get it, it's right back to brand new. Some big factory owner come in and offer to purchase me. What they really are wanting to do is just make me cease.
Don't sell your soul to
No,
the devil.
no. But
I mean, and that's what you'd be doing?
oh yeah. So we'll get into a discussion, and they'll explain to me what their energy is put in is to design them. Here's one that I've altered and then took all the altercations off. This one, you can't see the wood on it, but you can see the wood, and it has all this leather buildup, and that was to accommodate the measurements that I took. And then he described the heel shape that he wanted.
So this is
Somebody's
Somebody-
foot.
That's
foot.
somebody's foot. Yeah. Now he doesn't get to retain this. Eventually, somebody's going to come along
with
that
kind of, sort of.
that will be fit in a specific area. That then I'll take that.
And you'll,
Stapleman boot.
yeah, see, these boots don't have that.
Yeah, they hadn't got the soles on them yet.
$2,000.
Clarence T. Burke was the oldest son of Chief Poker Jim, the first Pendleton Roundup chief. Jackson Sundown, born in 1863, was a member of the Wallowa band. Nez Perce, and nephew of Chief Joseph. At age 40, he began competing in rodeos and took the name Buffalo Jackson, after later changing his name to Jackson Sundown. Here's the Pendleton Hat Company. This is where you can go and get a custom fitted hat. So you can come in here and you can pick out a hat blank that you want, and this fella behind the bar there, he will take and fit that hat to your head and make it fit just like that. Hey, is there a certain way you put a cowboy hat on?
Well, it depends on what time it is.
How's that?
How much we had to drink. Yeah. Now, they have what they call a double pinch. What the cowboys used to do is put, on their hat. You could tell if they had a finger in. They would put it on this way. A lot of them just take it this way and put it down.
I just take mine on the single hand pinch, and then when I put it on, I can
So is there
my eyeballs, and then
is there any truth to that thing that you hear you don't put your hat on the bed?
that's right, it's bad luck.
That's bad luck.
Yeah.
And you always want to set it on its
That's
top.
what happened to
If
him.
it's not a flat hat, you set it on the top. And you know why that is?
Why is that?
So all the goodness get back in it.
How about that? So you don't touch a cowboy's
So
hat.
you end up on the ground when you do that.
Okay. Kathleen McClintock, 1907 to 1998. She was a 1929 Pendleton Roundup Queen. Well, that is going to do it for our tour of Pendleton.
Yes.
We're standing right next to Stella Darby, and right behind us was her brothel.
Brothel, yes.
Yeah. So we toured that as well as toured some other underground Pendleton. Well, we've enjoyed this video, and we hope you have as well. If you did, be sure to give us a big old thumbs up. Be sure to share this video with your family and friends. But until next time,
Y'all have a good day.
see you in the next one.